Hi.
And welcome to Wheel Takes, a podcast that is usually about The Wheel of Time by Brandon Sanderson and Robert Jordan. That is an order that I chose. But right now we're talking about The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins.
Yes.
I'm Allie, and I am someone who has read all of The Hunger Games.
I am Gus. I'm a first-time reader of The Hunger Games. I've read up through Catching Fire, Chapter 12. Allie, does it feel like we've done this before?
It does. You know why?
Why
Audacity
is that?
had some audacity this week.
Because we have done this before. This is our second take of this recording. Something that hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, it's true.
But don't
We've
worry.
had a few instances where this has happened before, but it's been like at least a year.
I don't remember what I said last time, so it'll be nice and fresh.
It'll be new. We'll come up with some new bits. I don't know what our bits were last time, so, we'll just keep the good times rolling. But this is the Catching Fire 3-chapter redo.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the lightning round. Anything can happen in the lightning round.
So when we last left off...
Yes.
Well, where did we last leave off?
She almost shot a lady in the face, but then the lady was like, check out my bread.
It's got
and
a bird on it.
And she was like, oh shit, your bread has a bird.
Yeah.
Bad ass.
Well, and it's not just any bird.
It's the special bird. It's the mockingjay.
The mockingjay. A fictional bird that is... a combination of the jabberjay, which is another fictional bird.
Yes.
And the mockingbird.
Which is an actual bird.
It's a real bird.
Psych, it's fake. Suzanne Collins made up the mockingjay. She seeded it throughout history texts as promotional material. That's my new conspiracy theory.
You mean the mockingbird?
Yep, that's
You
the
said
one.
mockingjay.
Well, there. You know what? The mockingjay is no more real than the mockingbird.
You're right.
And vice
they
versa.
Made it up. That whole song about it, that was actually Suzanne Collins. It's Suzanne Collins all the way down.
She, Harper Lee is a plant. This joke has reached its natural conclusion. To kill a
Harper
mockingbird.
Lee is a plant?
To kill a mockingbird.
Oh. I was so confused. I thought you were literally saying she was a plant.
No.
Okay, I was so...
Harper Lee was just doing publicity ahead of the inception of these books.
You meant a literal plant. I was
no.
So confused. Now I'm just picturing there's like a begonia. Okay. We're in a place. We're in a time. Okay. So she sees my bird baked into bread. Excuse me. It was Madge's bird first.
Yeah, man. Don't you dare undermine Little Miss 25% that way. The number gets bigger every time I say it.
Almost 25%. Unlike the stylish renderings I saw in the Capitol, this is definitely not a fashion statement. What is it? What does it mean? I asked harshly, still prepared to kill. Okay. It means we're on your side, says a tremulous voice behind me. So it's some gals, right? Because,
yes.
It's one gal, and then there's another gal on crutches.
There's a younger...
That fucking sucks.
There's a younger woman and a slightly less young woman.
I gotta be real. When you're escaping and you break an ankle or something, you gotta watch where you're going. You gotta look at every root, every rock.
That's how you do it.
But I gotta be honest, with the type of person I am, we'd escape something and I would immediately injure myself.
I managed to roll my ankle dancing at JordanCon. It still hurts a little tiny bit. It still hurts. It was a month and a half ago.
And the past couple times we've been able to dance at weddings and other events, you've gotten injured.
Somebody a high heel stomps on my foot.
Gus is always asked to do the hora, right?
I am, yeah.
Because he's a big boy.
Yes.
And when we go to a Jewish wedding, he's always asked to do the hora and when we were at my cousin's half Jewish wedding, the hora starts happening. My cousin immediately looks at Gus and is like, hora time. And Gus is like, yes, and. Gus goes in. Everyone else is dancing around in the circle. And some gal with a big high-heeled shoe steps right on the tender part of Gus's foot.
It was great.
That was a tough day.
But I didn't drop the chair.
Yeah. It was also funny.
The hora, by the way, being that the chair, when you pick put him in a chair and pick him up.
Because at my cousin's lesbian, half Jewish, half Polish wedding,
Yes.
we listened to their signature cocktail was a Negroni Spagliato because that was a big meme at the time.
Yes.
Right? A big TikTok trend. And we listened to like surround sound, like 100 gay people discover they hate Negronis.
Campari.
It was like a surround sound of everyone going, I hate this.
Which, I could have told almost everybody that they would not have liked it. I like Campari, but,
I don't.
It's not for everyone. It tastes terrible. Not as bad as Malort.
You love Malort.
Yeah.
You love Malort because you are a glutton for punishment. So anyway, so the gal so she puts her hands up and she's like, I'm on your side. I'm not here to hurt you.
Katniss is like, side?
And then
I didn't know I had a side.
And Katniss is like, and the other one has to come out. And the woman starts to explain that the woman is in fact hobbled.
And it's like 15, 16,
and Katniss is like, don't care. She's got to come out. And so the woman limps into view. They both are dressed in ill-fitting peacekeeper uniforms, especially the gal on the crutches, which maybe she tripped on the peacekeeper uniform. If it's several sizes too large for her, maybe they didn't hem it.
That'll do it.
That's it. That's my theory. But she doesn't carry a weapon and she can't put her hands up because she is dealing with the crutch situation.
They're from District 8?
And they're from District 8. Their names are Twill and Bonnie.
Oh, yeah, not normal names like Onion
Bonnie's
Girl.
a normal name.
No, Katniss, every time she hears anybody's name that's not District 12, she's like, we have regular names there. My best friend named after a type of storm, and my ostensible boyfriend who is bread.
And my sister,
who is a different
named
flower.
Primrose. I'm like, we don't...
What's Mama Everdene's first name?
I don't think we know.
I'm just going to assume...
I think she just calls her mom and people call her Mrs. Everdeen.
I'm going to assume that it's a different plant. I'm going to pick the silliest plant I can think of. Wild rice.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the women appear to be named after plants because Gail's sister is named Posy,
yes,
which is a flower. So maybe they just have a thing for naming women after flowers of some kind.
See, it's tough to find a flower that doesn't make a passable name because most...
Yeah, daisy, dahlia,
daffodil,
chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum, though, I've read a book when I was a kid about a girl named Chrysanthemum.
Wasn't it a mouse?
Yeah, it was a mouse named Chrysanthemum, yeah.
Yeah, because I knew a girl in my choir when I was in high school who was like, I'm going to name my daughter Chrysanthemum because of that book. And I was like... I suppose they will be the only chrysanthemum in their class. So go with God.
Creeping vine.
Kudzu. Name like a kudzu.
You know what I learned a few years ago when I briefly went...
Actually, kudzu's kind of a cool name, to be honest.
I briefly went hard into botany because we had a balcony and I wanted to put flowers in it. And I put these flowers in it and I wanted to find like a cool vine type thing that I could have planted in there that would kind of like grow out and fill up the empty space. And I learned that so many plants have really fucking problematic names.
So many plants.
What
are we doing, botany? What are we up to? We're not even going to repeat them because they're not...
No.
That we should not say them.
There were so many plant names where I was like...
You look it up yourself.
Really? I'll tell you, this one started with wandering, and it was a vine. And I was just like, why are we doing this?
Oh, yes. Yes, and then it was like, if we get those... The technical term for those plants is something like if someone was like, "Oh my gosh, your plants are looking so great," and we're like, "Yes, the wandering blank is really thriving." We would look like assholes. We can't talk about the plants we own.
The word itself is not inherently offensive, but it's just...
Well, I mean, some of them are inherently offensive, but I suppose the word itself is not inherently offensive, but it doesn't make us look great. So anyway.
Actually, sorry. The technical term for this plant is Tradescantia zebrina. It is a common names include silver inch plant.
And another thing. Anyway, so.
And an alternative name is wandering dude instead of the other thing. All right. Anyway.
Look it up yourself if you want.
It's a great plant. I mean, I'm glad we planted. It's a good plant.
But it was just like,
I don't blame
my
the plant.
God. I guess it's not the only name for I thought it was the only name for them.
No.
Yeah, there are a couple where I'm like, botany, what is going on?
Oh, cool. They're invasive in South Africa.
Oh, interesting.
Look at this car completely covered with this shit. That's cool.
So it's like the kudzu of South Africa?
I guess.
Interesting.
It is classified as a Category 1B invasive species in South Africa.
And in the Galapagos.
All trade in seeds, cuttings, or other propagative material is prohibited.
Interesting.
Huh. Wild.
That's wild.
Apparently, if you plant mint, your life is over.
Yeah, do not plant mint.
Do you ever plant mint in the ground?
No, you have to plant it in a pot. It's very, like, aggressive as a plant, apparently. This is what I've learned a thing or two about botany. But I think I partially learned this because I saw a TikTok of somebody, like, planting different herbs in their backyard. They were like, doing an herb garden, and they planted mint.
Someone's like, no, get the mint out.
I went, no, don't do that. That's so dumb. And I didn't know. Anyway.
That's what Gail should do. That should be Gail's...
We've tricked you. This is a botany podcast.
Gail's fast track to rebellion is he just plants mint in the forest. And then the capital falls within a week.
Ugh.
Sorry.
Anyway, District 8. Speaking of invasions, I suppose that would be a good transition.
Yeah, so they're here because there was a rebellion, and then it got absolutely stomped on, understandably. And then they blew up the factory where they were planning from whence the rebellion was born.
Which, sounds great for Gail talking in the mines about rebellion. Probably not a great idea.
I have a lot of thoughts about this guy.
It just goes to show, if you're going to talk about rebellion, talk about it in a lot of different places so that they can't blow one thing up.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
Gail's tough because I don't want to get into all the Gale shit right now. We can save that for whenever he shows up again. But it kind of feels like he romanticizes the idea of a rebellion, which is, I'm all for a rebellion here.
I think that's like a classic, not just stereotype, right? Because, like, obviously there's a lot of nuance and the world is full of variation and we can't put everybody in a box. But I feel like that is like a classic young, idealistic person.
Often, yes. Yes.
Right? Especially, I feel like young men where they're like, they don't necessarily always realize the consequences or the costs that come with a revolution or an upheaval or a change.
It's a trope, especially that people will look for the immediate thing without necessarily examining long-term ramifications. Which, like, here is Gale, right? They should have a rebellion. 100%.
It doesn't mean it shouldn't happen. Yeah. It's just like I feel like when a young person is excited about like an overhaul or an upheaval, they tend to not think about the personal costs that they may endure, the cost to their family and friends and the cost to their neighborhood, their society at large. But they also don't necessarily also think about how long that might take. Do you know what I mean? Like, change.
That's a big part of it, yeah.
I feel like that's a thing that is hard to...
That's something I'm struggling with myself, too.
Constantly.
It's like, I want things to be better now. And it goes, yeah, we all do.
Yeah, and I feel like...
I feel like an old man yelling at a cloud. I don't like where this is going, and I feel like I have to get incredibly detailed to explain what I mean.
No. But what I don't actually think we have to get that detailed. I think it's pretty obvious that, like, in the world at large, there are lots of changes that need to be made, and things that hopefully will be made, and that we are all actively, many of us, I think, are actively trying to have change. But it's frustrating that likely we are trying to elicit change that we may not see, right? There will be changes that occur faster, but there will also be changes that will take maybe a generation or two to actually see the fruition of that labor.
Yeah, but then you have to be careful of the opposite end of that, which is
complacency.
Well, which is reformist reform. Which is, I'm just going to chip away at this thing, and then my grandkids are going to chip away at this thing, and then maybe in 500 years it'll be better. Because there's a middle ground, I think, between, I'm gonna immediately do X thing, and let's all just take our time and move by inches.
Right. But I do think the thing about, like entertainment is that there's an expediency to change that may or may not be realistic. I think it is in some cases and it isn't in others.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some changes fast and some changes mind-numbingly slow.
And some changes like, whoa, what the fuck happened? Now we've changed everything.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there's space for both things to be true.
Yeah.
But I think, that he is operating under the assumption that there has not been any chipping away at this previously.
Yeah, I think that's probably, yeah. He's not aware of his own history, I guess.
Well, I mean, District 13 is like hanging out right there as a reminder of like what could happen.
Yeah.
Should a district rise up. And it doesn't mean they shouldn't. But Katniss has just experienced a lot of the realities of violence.
I feel like I have a lot of stuff I want to say about Gale, but I also don't really want to use this time to talk about it because Gale's not even in these chapters.
He's not relevant yet?
Yeah. So, when he shows up again, I think I want to dig more into
sure. But I just,
how I feel about his particular brand of insurrectionism.
Sure. Can I finish my one last thought?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's obvious in the way that he's like, killing humans is no different than killing animals, right?
Yeah, he did say that in book 1.
I mean, it's fairly obvious that I think he doesn't have a clear scope of like what it is to experience violence to the degree that Katniss has.
Yes.
And so he's not holding space or respect for the trauma that she just endured.
Yes.
And that like people are dying in her name, essentially, at this moment.
Which is kind of traumatizing to know.
I mean, it's more than kinda.
Yeah, bit very.
Okay, so...
And right. So Twill and Bonnie...
they say that they stole the Peacekeeper uniforms from the factory where they make them.
Is Bonnie the first, like, truly...
Oh, Katniss thinks she's 35 or so, which as a 16-year-old, she could be 35, she could be 60, she could be 25.
22.
Yeah. Like when you're young, you have no scope of like what
everybody
age
between
like.
20 and 50 is basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was like 8 and I saw a 12-year-old and I was like, wow, they're basically my parents.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I remember that. And I think back and I'm like, wow. Well, I got lost one time.
Yeah.
I didn't get lost. I sort of ran away.
Wandered off, I feel like is a better term.
Yeah. I feel like because I left my home specifically to go to my dad's office, which was like around the corner, but I turned the wrong corner and kept walking.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went the wrong direction because he had shown it to me the night before, the way to the office. And so I got completely lost and I went up to this group of boys skateboarding. And at the time I was like, they're adults. And upon reflection as an adult, I think they were maybe 13 years old.
That's so funny.
And I was 7. And I went up to them and I was like,
age.
yeah. And I went up to them and I was like, I'm lost.
Help.
You have to help me. I'm 7. And they were like, what's your phone number? And I went, I don't know. My parents are divorced.
That's pretty funny.
And I only had the capacity to memorize one number.
Yeah.
And they said, what's your address? And I went, I don't know. My parents are divorced. I'm with my dad this weekend. And then they flagged down a police officer and were like,
help this child.
Which I go, that's really smart to have the presence of mind to flag down an adult.
Yeah.
And not try to solve it yourself. But anyway, so they stole the stuff from the factory. They stole the gun from a dead peacekeeper. And Katniss goes, the cracker in your hand with the bird. What's that about? Don't you know, Katniss?
How are you so out of the loop? And it's like, there's no interdistrict communication.
Yeah, there's no
That's
communication.
how. It's very easy.
And she says, I know it matches the pin I wore in the arena. She doesn't know. Maybe not about any of it. No, she doesn't know about any of it. No one's keeping her in the loop. So, yeah. So they talk about the uprising in 8. And like you said, and they say they're headed for District 13. 13. There's no 13. It got blown off the map 75 years ago. And she says she twisted her ankle. Her boots were too big. So it was related to something.
That'll get you. Oh, and she teaches her, she's like, here, stuff socks in there so it'll work better.
Yeah.
And like, brilliant. And it is. That's very clever. And she reflects on the Avox girl. She thinks back on all this other stuff. And then it's like, yeah, I don't... she gives them this cheesy bread. And now I want cheesy bread. Mm-hmm. But not like the shitty kind of cheesy bread. Like, with all love to Pizza Hut, their cheesy bread sucks. But, like, good cheesy bread.
Yeah. So she gives them some cheesy bread.
Next episode, the Pizza Hut apology tour.
Everyone's like, how dare you? Pizza Hut is amazing. Don't you know?
Pizza's not bad. I mean, I like their pizza. I just don't like their cheesy bread.
And you know what? You're entitled to that opinion, I think.
Yeah. Gives them all this food. And then she's like, so why do you think District 13 didn't get nuked into the dust?
So she says, ever since the Hunger Games, the discontent in District 8 had been growing.
Never mind. We're talking about this instead.
Well,
I jumped the gun. No, it's on me. Please
They
continue.
haven't talked about District 13 yet.
Please continue.
Right? No, and then there's
please continue. It's fine. I'm sorry. Go.
Let me talk. I just gave you some Simlish just now. So it was always there, of course, to some degree. But what differed was that talk was no longer sufficient, and the idea of taking action went from a wish to a reality. The textile factories that service Panem are loud with machinery, and the din also allowed word to pass safely, a pair of lips close to an ear, words unnoticed, unchecked. Twill taught at school, Bonnie was one of her pupils, and when the final bell had rung, both of them spent a 4-hour shift at the factory that specialized in the peacekeeper uniforms. It took months for Bonnie, who worked in the chilly inspection dock, to secure the 2 uniforms, a boot here, a pair of pants there. They were intended for Twill and her husband because it was understood that once the uprising began, it would be crucial to get word of it out beyond District 8 if it were to spread and be successful. I mean, that's true, but how would they get in there? How would they talk to anybody?
Yeah, kind of hard to do any of that.
I guess they'll figure it out when they get there.
They're going to be plucky about it.
The day Peeta and I came through and made our victory tour appearance was actually a rehearsal of sorts. People in the crowd positioned themselves according to their teams, next to the buildings they would target when the rebellion broke out. That was the plan.
Yeah, smart.
To take over the centers of power in the city, just like the Justice Building, the Peacekeepers' headquarters, and the Communications Center in the square. And at other locations in the district, the railroad, the granary, the power station, and the armory. Armory being a very important one.
A little bit.
The night of my engagement, the night Peeta fell to his knees and proclaimed his undying love for me in front of the cameras in the Capitol, was the night the uprising began. It was an ideal cover. Our victory tour interview with Caesar Flickerman was mandatory viewing. It gave the people of District 8 a reason to be out on the streets after dark.
No wonder Snow was pissed off.
Mm-hmm. I bet he had gotten some word that might have happened.
Yeah, probably.
Gathering either in the square or in various community centers around the city to watch. Ordinarily, such activity would have been too suspicious. Instead, everyone was in place by the appointed hour, 8 o'clock, when the masks went on and all hell broke loose. So they initially overcame the peacekeepers because it was large crowds. The communication center, the granary, and the power station were all secured. As the peacekeepers fell, weapons were appropriated for the rebels. There was hope that this had not been an act of madness, that in some way, if they could get the word out to the other districts, an actual overthrow of the government in the capital might be possible. But then the axe fell. Peacekeepers began to arrive by the thousands.
Yeah.
Hovercraft bombed the rebel strongholds into ashes. In the utter chaos that followed, it was all people could do to make it back to their homes alive. It took less than 48 hours to subdue the city. Then for a week, there was a lockdown. No food, no coal, everyone forbidden to leave their homes. The only time the television showed anything but static was when the suspected instigators were hanged in the square.
Did they secure the centers of manufacturing?
They got the communication center, the granary, and the power station.
Okay, so none of that is vital to the that's the problem.
Those were not the priorities.
None of that is vital to the ongoing survival of Panem. None of that is vital to the ongoing survival of District 8, but it's not vital to the capital. The capital can build a new power plant. They should have taken the factories.
Yeah, but if they don't take the granary, then they're going to starve them out.
Yes, but they also should have but like all of that they can just blow up and build a new one, right?
Yeah,
the manufactories are the things that the capital relies on.
I mean, I agree with you. I think they didn't, and they should have taken the armory for sure.
Did they miss the armory?
They got the communication center, the granary, and the power station. The armory is kind of the most important one, I think. One of the most.
Yeah.
Because they need to arm themselves.
But even then, if you have air supremacy, you're kind of fucked.
But Just make a phalanx, Gus. Obviously, that's the answer to every tactical issue.
Sorry, say if they have air supremacy, you're kind of fucked.
But yeah. So anyway, it was a great time. The whole district was on the brink of starvation. And then the order came to return to business as usual. So they went back to school.
Yeah, because the older one's a teacher.
But because everything was difficult in terms of passage, because there were like so many exploded parts of the road, they were late to their factory shift. And a bomb exploded, killing everyone inside. The capital
blew it the fuck up.
Including Twill's husband and Bonnie's entire family.
That's very sad.
That really friggin' sucks. Can't imagine.
And they got to flee, which is good for them. They got out. That's good.
Yeah, so someone had told the capital that the idea for the uprising had started there. So they blew up their own factory. So now they have no clothes.
They blew up one, right? I think what I was saying before is that anything that the capital deems irreplaceable or disruptive,
they won't bomb?
They probably won't get rid of.
Okay, so that's why they should have taken all of the factories?
It's tough because I feel like that's occupy every building. It makes sense that they occupied the administrative buildings locally. I think they just forgot that the capital doesn't really care about the quality of life in District 8. They care about...
In fact, they right now they don't care at all.
Yeah, they care about whether or not District 8 continues to produce goods. Mm-hmm. You know?
Though it seems as though it hasn't stopped them from totally annihilating a district before.
Yeah, but I guess, well...
At that point, maybe
but that was the nukes district,
the new trend is we're naked in the capital.
Oh, that's funny.
Am I right?
Yeah.
We're just going to go with an emperor's new clothes situation?
Yeah, but that was the nukes district that they annihilated, right?
Yeah. So they had more of a reason to do it, because it's like, can't let them get the nukes.
Do you ever get any visibility on external politics, or do we just assume the world doesn't exist outside of Panem? I'm happy to pretend the world doesn't exist outside of Panem.
I believe that you do not, and I might be wrong, I don't recall ever getting a glimpse of what like the outside world is doing or thinks of Panem, but I could be wrong.
No, that's fine. I don't think it's necessarily relevant to the bounds of the story, and I'm happy to pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think she just goes with none of my business.
Sure. Intercontinental travel is probably not a big thing right now.
Well, I mean, when you have a totalitarian regime, it tends to not be a fun place to visit.
That too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They tend to kind of close the borders and not want new ideas to come in.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, keep your democracy out of here, please.
Well, no, I meant more if the rest of the world wanted to make war on Panem for resources. But again, it's not within the bounds of the story, so it doesn't matter.
Mm. Okay, so then they talk about District 13.
The nuke district.
Yeah, she says,
plus pencils.
I understand why you're running, but what do you expect to find in District 13?
I really should look up what else graphite is used for. Buckminster fullerenes? Maybe? Isn't that a graphite structure? A carbon structure?
I could not tell you. I could not tell you what graphite is used for. But they say, we're not sure exactly. It's nothing but rubble. We've all seen the footage. That's just it. They've been using the same footage for as long as anyone in District 8 can remember. Really? You know how they always show the Justice Building? If you look very carefully, you'll see it up in the far right-hand corner. See what? A mockingjay. Just a glimpse of it as it flies by. The same one every time. Do you feel like they watch it and they're like, there it is. Like each time, you know how it's like if like your screensaver goes into the corner and everyone cheers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a District 8 joke. They're like, there it is. Hey, the Mockingjay every time.
Yeah, Allie. Without carbon, they can't make Buckminster fullerenes.
Ooh, tough. What the fuck are those?
A type of fullerene with the formula C60.
What the fuck is a fullerene?
An allotrope of carbon whose molecule consists of...
What the fuck's an allotrope? You're not helping. Okay.
An allotrope, well, hold on.
All the people who know
An allotrope is the property... Allotropy or allotropism is the property of some chemical elements to exist in two or more different forms in the same physical state.
Okay.
For example, the allotropes of carbon include diamond, graphite, graphene...
Oh, sure.
...and fullerenes.
And what are fullerenes in?
It's an allotrope of carbon.
Okay, so they think that...
They look cool. All right, sorry.
So you're going to District 13 based on that, a shot of a bird. Because they think, the Capitol can't show what's really there now. You think you're going to find some new city with people strolling around in it, and that's just fine with the Capitol? No. We think the people moved underground when everything on the surface was destroyed. We think they've managed to survive. And we think the Capitol leaves them alone because before the dark days, District 13's principal industry was nuclear development. They were graphite miners.
That was just their hobby.
They had a few small mines, yes, but not enough to justify a population of that size. That, I guess, is the only thing we know for sure. So she gets all like, oh my God, what if they're right? And then she gets pissed because she's like, why haven't they helped us? Because last time they tried to do anything, they got bombed to shit and they don't know any of you. Maybe you're cool with it.
I do kind of have to wonder why they're not able to communicate. Yeah, or why the Capitol hasn't done more. I guess if they have nukes, it's a détente.
It's a détente.
Is that the right term?
Yes, I think. It's a détente.
No, it's not the right term. It's
what is a détente?
The easing of hostility or strained relations.
Oh, that's not what that is.
No.
It's a
taunt. That's ant.
It's a ceasefire.
A diplomatic freeze.
There's a word for it. I know this. It's a
truce.
No, it's like we're at an impasse, but it's not that.
I know what you mean.
We're
half an hour in. We're on the first chapter because we wouldn't shut the fuck up about plants.
You wouldn't shut the fuck up about plants.
Yes, no, that's me. And Buckminster Fullerenes.
Yeah, when that's
I'm
your
always
first
the
time
problem.
reader job. No,
All right,
your first time reader job is to be the problem. And my job is to go, we have a job that's not that.
Mm-hmm.
So they all think she starts to think maybe it's they're kind of, delusional.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
She explains to them the basics of hunting and kind of helps them, with some basic survival skills. And they want to know details about the situation in 12. And they're all psyched that they got to meet her. And it's all nice. But Katniss is still kind of confused about what Bonnie meant by it means we're on your side.
And she's so distracted that she nearly fucking dies.
Yeah, so she stashes her weapons. In the fading light, the chain links look as innocuous as usual. But what makes me jerk back my hand is the sound like the buzz of a tree full of tracker-jacker nests, indicating the fence is alive with electricity.
Oh, no.
And Susan Collins does a backflip. And that's the end of Chapter 10. Chapter 11, Gus.
Yes.
Do you have notes?
No, I don't have notes for any of this.
Oh.
I said that last week.
Wow. Yeah, but that got deleted because of
I said that last week at the beginning, so it did not get deleted.
I've never not taken notes in my life.
That is a lie.
Chapter 11, Gus.
Spilled LaCroix on the book. This is
just
horrible.
A drop. Oh my God.
It's waterlogged.
Drop of LaCroix. It's a drop. It'll go away. Okay. You distracted me. Okay, so she orders herself to calm down.
And this is super deliberate. They were like, let's wait till she goes out.
Oh, definitely.
Then fucking kill her. And she has to... This took me a minute to figure out what's going on. Because she's like, well, I'm gonna have to jump. I was like, how? Like from tree to tree? Did you take a lesson out of Rue's book? A page out of Rue's book? And then I realized she meant, no, I'm gonna climb 20 feet in the air.
And drop
shimmy out onto a branch. And then just drop. I was like, holy shit, Katniss.
I mean,
Your
there are
life
worse
sucks.
ideas. Well, because if she stays out there, then she might be fucked for different reasons.
Oh, no, I'm not criticizing her for doing this. I'm saying that sucks. That's terrible.
Terrible.
But that's what she does.
And she fucks up her foot.
Yeah, because she can't just hunker down.
So it's not the first time she's been caught outside of the district by an electrified fence. But Gale was always with her at the time, and they would just pick a comfortable tree to hang out in until the power shut off, which it always did eventually. And if she was running late, Prim even got in the habit of going to the meadow to check if the fence was charged to spare my mother worry.
That's nice. But nobody's expecting it this time.
This is why you always tell people when you're going into the woods.
Or anywhere by yourself.
Anywhere by yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Tell someone.
Just someone in your life should know where you are at all times. You know, just vaguely at least. So yeah, so she looks around. She's like, what do I do? She can't bury under it without risking detection, and the ground's frozen anyway. So she decides that she's going to have to go over it.
Climb that tree.
She inches her way over the limb that hangs above the barbed wire, and like you said, she drops
into a snowbank, but she still fucks up her foot and her hip.
There's a sensation of falling, then I hit the ground with a jolt that goes right up my spine.
Oy.
A second later, my rear end slams the ground.
Oy.
Ugh. My ancient knees are screaming. She's lucky she's 16 because you can't walk that off when you're 30.
Yeah.
I lie in the snow trying to assess the damage. Without standing, I can tell by the pain in my left heel and my tailbone that I'm injured. The only question is, how badly? I'm hoping for bruises, but when I force myself onto my feet, I suspect I've broken something as well. I can walk, though, so I get moving, trying to hide my limp as best I can. And she decides to work up an alibi, so she goes shopping while her foot's fucked up. Definitely good, stressing it out more, but smart, and ultimately saves her total ass.
She gets back to her house, and her mom is like, hello, welcome for dinner time now at 11:30 p.m. like normal people do.
Yeah, exactly. So she reaches the house. My left heel will bear no weight at all. I decided to tell my mother I was trying to mend a leak in the roof of our old house and slid off. As for the missing food, I'll just be vague about who I handed it out to. So she walks in the door. 2 peacekeepers, a man and a woman, are standing in the doorway to our kitchen. The woman remains impassive, but I catch the flicker of surprise on the man's face. I am unanticipated. They know I was in the woods and should be trapped there now.
Wait a minute. She walked in and they went,
I have arrived. So she just says, hello. My mother appears behind them but keeps her distance. Here she is, just in time for dinner.
Welcome back from the walking around store at the normal time for eating. Hurrah.
So she asks if they can help her with something, or she can help them with something.
This is so clever, and they cover so fucking well. Because they're like, where were you?
Yeah.
Huh? And she goes, you know, all over.
Yeah.
Trying to get Prim's goat knocked up, and they're like, they improv this crazy well.
It's so great. They're basically like, you were supposed to go to the east entrance, and she's like, no, you said the west entrance, and all this shit, and they go back and forth. And they also say that head peacekeeper Thread sent us with a message for you. In addition to the great improv. And Haymitch and Peta are also there, and they improv as well.
You're playing chess in the corner, just casually.
Mm-hmm. And then the man is smiling, but the woman is unconvinced. What's in the bag? So I know she's hoping for game or wild plants.
Just your casual rabbit.
Something that clearly condemns me.
But no, it's a Band-Aid.
Dump the contents on the table. See for yourself. And it's like bandages and candy and all other kinds of stuff. And, you know, she jokingly says that none of them deserve candy.
Everybody handles this shockingly well, which just goes to show you how much it fucking sucks living in District 12 or anywhere in Panem.
Yeah.
If everyone is able to improvise like this at the drop of a hat.
I mean, they're pretty good.
Without batting a fucking eye.
Not a goddamn
sucks.
eye.
That really sucks.
I mean, they've got, you got to survive somehow, right?
Yeah.
I guess maybe people who were not worthy of the second city or groundlings got killed off pretty early, right?
Yes.
If improv is genetic.
Those being improvisation schools in Chicago and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you weren't groundlings level good, you died pretty early.
I love it. The lady goes, just so you know, the fence is going to be on all the time now. And she goes, what?
Wasn't it always? Wasn't it already on all the time?
Fooled me.
And she said, the mean lady says, he thought you might be interested in passing this information along to your cousin.
Huh?
Yeah, and she says, Thank you. I'll tell him. I'm sure we'll all sleep a little more soundly now that security has addressed that lapse.
She's got jokes. She's fucking funny, man.
Funny as fuck.
She's funny as shit.
Katniss is funny shit. You know what? Traumatized people are the funniest people.
That's kind of true.
Am I wrong?
No.
That's why I think Gen Z and millennials are so goddamn funny.
That's funny. That's true.
Yeah. I'm like, look at all we've been through. So then the peacekeepers fucking leave and they see how bad Katniss's foot is. And so they, start trying to fix it. She asks Prim how school was. And Prim says, all right, we learned about coal byproducts. That's boring as shit.
Good.
So her mom fixes shit with her foot and her butt.
Gives her some sleep syrup.
Yeah, she says her tailbone's
and then she
probably
and Peter
bruised.
sit there holding hands while she goes to sleep because they're really pure and it's sad because it could never be.
Because the capital corrupts everything, including your first love.
Remember when I was like, I don't trust this bread boy.
It honestly was the most delightful period of my life.
Now I do. Now I trust
Rue the
this
Flayer
bread
will
boy.
live in infamy.
I have no regrets about Rue the Flayer. I'm not sure I was wrong about that one.
I mean,
She's gonna come back in book 3.
who knows? She might have flayed people right after that.
You know what? I don't know what she was doing at home.
They got her just in time. How do you think all those tributes died in the what's it called? In the cornucopia?
It was all Rue, man.
Yeah, it was just Rue. She just started blasting. So they fall asleep holding hands. She sleeps until noon, which sounds awesome.
Hell yes.
And she lets her mom doctor her, which I think is kind of important to emphasize because she's kind of healing her relationship with her mother.
Yes.
An important part of some people's adulthood. And I don't want to speak for everyone. Okay, so for the next few days, she is concerned that the peacekeepers are going to come take her away, basically for
understandable concern
being out and about. They also have a pile of wedding dresses for her to try on, but no peacekeepers show up to arrest me though. So eventually, I begin to relax. I'm further reassured when Peeta casually tells me the power is off in sections of the fence because crews are out securing the base of the chain link to the ground. Thread must believe I somehow got under the thing, even with that deadly current running through it. It's a break for the district, having the peacekeepers busy doing something besides abusing people.
Fuck them.
Fuck them indeed.
Fuck the peacekeepers.
I wonder how they pick peacekeepers. Are they people from other districts and it's have a cushy job, but you abuse people in the district? I mean, or is it they ship you to a different district to abuse people?
I'm sure it's a combination.
Are they capital people?
I'm sure it's a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of high school bullies who went straight into the peacekeeping job.
Yeah. And Peeta helps Katniss. So I guess there was some book that their family has, that her family has
plants.
About that, has different familial knowledge in it. And her dad had added plants, and the book had page and page of ink drawings of plants with descriptions of their medical uses. My father added a section on edible plants. That was my guidebook for keeping us alive after his death. And she had wanted to record her knowledge in it, but she's not a good artist. So Peeta is drawing the pictures for her.
He's too pure for this or any world.
I know. I just fucking love him. So they just kind of hang out together.
Oh, by the way, someone scanned through the old episodes to see how pressury you were to get me to say, "Are you Team Gale?" Apparently, as you might expect, I dramatically overstated it.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Huh.
Here, wait. Let me find it for you.
Okay, thank you. Justice for me. I mean, you partially overstated it as a bit, I assume.
Yes.
And because arguing is kind of fun. When you know that you're arguing in a fun way and not in a weird, scary way.
All right, I found it. Hold on. Let's go into the past. The expected course of action is that a lot of people are going to ship them together.
Okay.
That's the trope. The trope is that they like each other.
Sure.
The trope could also be that she and Peeta like each other.
Sure.
But I still think Pete is going to turn out to not be a good dude.
He could.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
He could totally turn out to not be a good dude.
So
you would be like, if there were some kind of like weird shipping of the two of various
I'm
boys,
sure there is. I have no doubt that there is.
But at this moment, you would, if there were a weird shipping of the various boys, you'd be Team Gale, you're saying?
Based on the very limited information
Smooth,
I
Allie.
have at the outset of the first book, where all I know about PETA and all I know about Gale is what I get from part 1, yes, currently, because I know less about Gale that makes me distrust him than I know about PETA, I would be Team Gale.
Okay.
But that's not to say that I wouldn't primarily be Team Strong Independent Woman.
And that's assuming that that's where these books are going. That's
I have no
assuming
idea if that's where they go.
That there are 2 boys that she's interested in, right? Gale she thinks of him like a brother. That's not hot.
She says she thinks of him like a brother.
All right, so yeah, I overstated that in my mind. But there you go.
Yeah, I thought it was a little, I thought, listen, in my mind, I was a little more casual than I was. I was not as smooth with it as I thought I was, but
If there were some kind of weird shipping,
but
if that's where this goes, I was like, what are you trying to do here?
Well, it's just like, if there were some kind of weird shipping.
I thought it was very sweet.
If there was some kind of weird shipping, would you say you're Team Gale or Team PETA?
Team fuck Gale. PETA.
Team fuck Gale. Apparently, Roxane Gay has written an article of some kind about how being Team PETA is the only way to be. It's
well,
the
I look
only
forward to
correct
reading
answer.
that in 6 months.
Yes, when you are done, you will
Probably
read that.
less than 6 months. Mm-hmm. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So back to what we were talking about an hour and a half ago. Right. She starts watching TV more assiduously.
Yes. To see if she sees what Bonnie and Twill told her was there. She also reflects on the fact that her and PETA's relationship has been tainted by the games. So it's never been normal. And PETA says that he thinks this is the first time they've ever done anything normal together, which is very sad.
It is sad.
And every day, each afternoon, he carries her downstairs for a change of scenery.
Come on.
I know. He's perfect.
When he inevitably dies,
Oh no,
I'm gonna
don't
be
say that.
so sad.
You think he dies?
Yes, I think he probably eventually dies, and I'm not happy about it.
If that were to happen, that would be a pretty big event that maybe people talk about.
It probably would be.
Well, we'll have to see if your heart will be broken by the. No, you know what?
we
these
know
books
my
from
heart
now
will be
on are
broken
fun, carefree.
One way and another, my heart will be broken by these books. It's just a question of which way.
It's true. You don't know what you've signed up for.
No.
People eagerly awaiting your heartbreaks. So, yeah, she's watching different clips from the 74 years of Hunger Games, like all the things that they play, all the propaganda. My first sighting is in a news story referencing the dark days. I see the smoldering remains of the Justice Building in District 13 and just catch the black and white underside of a Mockingay's wing as it flies across the upper right-hand corner. That doesn't prove anything, really. It's just an old shot that goes with an old tale. However, several days later, something else grabs my attention. The main newscaster is reading a piece about a shortage of graphite affecting the manufacturing of items in District 3. They cut to what was supposed to be live footage of a female reporter, encased in a protective suit, standing in front of the ruins of the Justice Building in 13. Through her mask, she reports that, unfortunately, a study has just today determined that the mines of District 13 are still too toxic to approach. End of story. But just before they cut back to the main newscaster, I see the unmistakable flash of that same Mockingjay's wing. The reporter has simply been incorporated into the old footage. She's not in District 13 at all, which begs the question, what is? And Suze does another cartwheel. So here's my thing.
Yeah.
Wait, what was my thing? Oh, the thing I always think is so funny is that this woman was just like in a hazmat suit
In a
on
green-
a
on a
sound
green
stage
screen.
in front of a green screen.
Well, it's like when we're watching Yellow Jackets, the second season of which is just ended.
Yes, just ended.
And so much of it is them in snow, and you informed me, yeah, they shot all of this on a soundstage.
Well, because the first season was done, I believe, actually in the wilderness, but that was made shooting very difficult.
Of course it did, yeah.
Because the wilderness makes shooting difficult. Everything,
Yes.
shooting outside makes everything difficult, which is why sound stages exist and why like they've built whole neighborhoods for people to shoot in because, you know, cars driving by and shit, stuff happens. Animals, that kind of thing. But it always tickles me when I think about the fact that like we're watching TV and we're just watching someone playing pretend and they're playing pretend their ass off. But they're like every now and then I just go out of it and I think about the fact that they're just playing pretend. And it cracks me up sometimes, like during the thing where I'm like, they're on a sound stage playing pretend their ass off and someone's shooting it right in front of them. Like, there's a whole crew just watching someone play pretend. I know, it's just funny when you think about it. It's just like when you think about writing and it's just like you're hallucinating at a page wildly, hoping that someone vibes with your hallucinations when they're hallucinating back at you.
The arts are weird as fuck.
It's awesome. Support writers. Stand with the WGA. Chapter 12, Gus. Do you have any notes?
No, I don't.
I'm just messing with you now. Okay, so...
Wait, Allie, ask me again if I have any notes.
Do you have any notes?
No.
Oh, you stupid boy.
Oh, I'm going to use the soundboard responsibly, he said.
And you know what I say in response to that?
Oh, you stupid boy.
Maybe once we watch the movies, we'll add some sounds.
Well, we should
from
definitely
those.
have the whistle. Yeah, that one.
That one.
The low pass filter is going to eat that.
Is it?
Yeah, probably.
Sorry.
No, it doesn't matter. So she's like, I don't need sleep. I need answers.
Yes, but then Venia, Octavia, and Flavius show up.
Oh, the I hate these people brigade.
Yeah.
But the I hate these people because they are completely ignorant and of the system and suck, not because they're malicious.
No, but she wasn't expecting them for another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they get into some histrionics about the deteriorated state of her beauty.
Oh my god.
And then they get right but down to business. Because you know what? There are more important things than a woman's appearance.
Wish they'd let us make your boobs bigger, and then I have to go outside.
Oh yeah. Gus had to take a walk after that. He was distraught.
These books distress me often.
But it's purposeful distressing.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, you should be distressed by this.
Well, it's
like,
like,
meant to distress you.
It's like we saw Six the musical recently, and
so
there's
good.
one song in that musical that every time I listen to it, it's a great song, I get so angry in a good way. I get so angry about everything that I have to like take 20 minutes to de-stress. Great song.
It's such a bop. But when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, God damn it, what women have to go through.
Yeah, listen to that musical, and you'll probably know which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Spotify, as are we.
There are two that make me angry.
There's several that make me angry. One of them makes me extra spicy angry.
As it should. Oh, and they start talking about the fact that they can't get shrimp for the party.
Yeah.
And that is because the capital hasn't been able to get any seafood for weeks. And Octavia says, because the weather's so bad in District 4.
The blizzard in New Orleans, or wherever District 4 is.
So she says, and suddenly I'm absolutely sure that District 4 has revolted.
Yeah. So it's 5 of them, right? She figures out because they're also missing clothing and computer chips, right?
Yep.
So
she asked them, what other hardships have you endured recently?
That's funny
They're
as
missing
shit.
crab meat, music chips, ribbons. It has given me a sense of which districts might actually be rebelling. Seafood from District 4, electronic gadgets from District 3, and of course fabrics from District 8. So 3 districts.
Yeah,
have
and then
gone.
later Hamish, who I guess
Confirms
knows
2
people,
more.
gets 7 and 11 on board, I think. I don't know what District 7 is.
I don't recall.
I would look it up, but then like a hand would come out of my phone and slap me in the face. So, because I bet if I Google District 7, it's like, District 7 is the district where PETA fucking dies.
Yeah.
Gus, you stupid idiot who Googles stuff.
Don't ever fucking Google anything in the Hunger Games again.
All right.
I love you, but don't.
Love you too.
So she does a bunch of like pictures of her in different wedding dresses. It's a whole thing. And Prim comes home just in time to see her in the last 2 dresses and like is so happy about the photo shoot with her mom. And it's all very kind of cute. And then Katniss has nightmares that she's dressed in a silk bridal gown and it's torn and muddy. The long sleeves keep getting caught on thorns and branches as they run through the woods. This is after and she falls asleep. The pack of imitation tributes draws closer and closer until it overcomes me with hot breath and dripping fangs, and I scream myself awake. It's too close to dawn to bother trying to get back to sleep. So she eats breakfast with her family, and she and Hamish talk, and, he's not completely drunk.
Good.
And he updates her, and she updates him, and he tells her that the rumors of uprisings in District 7 and 11 as well, and that would mean half the districts have at least attempted to rebel.
That's a lot.
That's pretty big. And she says, do you still think it won't work here? Not yet. Those other districts, they're much larger. Even if half the people cower in their homes, the rebels stand a chance. Here in 12, it's got to be all of us or nothing.
Yeah.
But maybe at some point, maybe. But we're small, we're weak, and we don't develop nuclear weapons.
That's a big advantage, unfortunately.
So she asks what he thinks that they'll do to the districts who are rebelling. And he says, well, you've heard what they did in 8. You've seen what they did here, and that was without provocation. If things really do get out of hand, I think they'd have no problem killing off another district, same as they did 13. Make an example of it, Mm-hmm. And she tells him about the footage of the Mockingjay. Okay, but what does that prove? Nothing really. There are plenty of reasons they could be using old footage. Probably it looks more impressive. And it's a lot simpler, isn't it? To just press a few buttons in the editing room, then fly all the way out there and film it. The idea that 13 is somehow rebounded and the Capitol is ignoring it, that sounds like the kind of rumor desperate people cling to.
Have you looked around lately?
And she says, I know, I was just hoping. Exactly, because you're desperate.
Cheery.
Yeah. So then they announce some mandatory programming, and Prim's all excited because she thinks it's going to be the wedding dress pictures.
Prim,
and
why are you excited about that? Oh, she's not in on it. Right.
she's not in on it. She's a kid. They're not including her on the family secrets
That's probably
yet.
a
She's
good
not old
idea.
enough.
She's 13 and they don't want her to die.
No. As much plausible deniability as they can give her, the better.
Yes.
Because it could save her life. It probably won't.
But it could.
But let's hold on to the hope, shall we?
I'm not out of the question.
It's not out of the question. Katniss doesn't think it's going to be the wedding dress pictures because they only did that yesterday.
Yeah, we edit and record and upload podcasts on the same day sometimes. I guess when you live in pre-technological... Yeah, okay, sure.
So, initially, Cinna designed 24 wedding gowns. Jesus. And then it was a process of narrowing down the designs, and everybody got to vote on their favorite. So Katniss doesn't even get to choose her own fucking dress.
No, why would we give the woman autonomy? In my dystopia?
But it's so purposeful! Anyway. And so Caesar announces that interested parties must cast their final vote by noon on the following day.
Oh my god, they're doing it like that. They're doing it fucking American Idol
Yeah, it's fucking American
style.
Idol. They're like, and we'll reveal which dress it was after the break. It's very Ryan Seacrest, And then he says, let's get Katniss Everdeen to her wedding in style. That's right. This year will be the 75th anniversary of the Hunger Games. And that means it's time for our third quarter quell.
I can't be too hard on American Idol because Canadian Idol did give us Carly Rae Jepsen. But apart from that...
And the American one gave us Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
Who seems to be an amazing person.
I don't know anybody else about
Among
any of that.
many others, Ruben Studdard, Catherine McPhee, Clay Aiken.
Yeah.
Can you tell that we watched This Is a Family when I was growing up?
Yeah.
Carrie Underwood.
I'm just really... Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Lots of like pretty famous people came out of that show.
I just have to thank them for Carly. I like Carly Rae Jepsen. Did you know that? Everybody
had
knows
no
that.
idea.
All right. So anyway, moving on.
I believe David Archuleta, Chris Daughtry.
Who?
You know, Chris Daughtry is the I'm going home to the place where I belong.
No.
Really?
Who are you talking to?
Oh, right.
Consider your target audience here. It's me. Is it Carly Rae Jepsen or Six the Musical or
well, you did add Six the Musical to your rotation.
Or Steppenwolf.
Like 4 things that you listen to.
Or
and
video game soundtracks. Or the playlist lo-fi hip-hop beats to relax and study to. Because if it's not one of those, I probably don't know it.
I saw someone else on Twitter mention that playlist recently.
It's a great playlist.
And I was like, it's a pretty good playlist. That's how I stay calm on planes.
It's good.
It's not the flying that bothers me. It's just the incessant other people noise.
Yeah.
You know?
But the quarter quell.
Holy
shit.
So neither Prim nor Katniss know why they're going to be announcing anything about the quarter quell because it's not for months.
It's the reading of the card.
It's the reading. And they turn to their mother who was alive at that time. And she says, it must be the reading of the card. So President Snow comes up with a young boy dressed in a white
suit. It's always a young child in white.
Yep. So he begins to speak to remind us all of the dark days from which the Hunger Games were born.
Because it's so much better now.
When the laws for the games were laid out, they dictated that every 25 years the anniversary would be marked by a quarter quell. It would call for a glorified version of the games to make fresh the memory of those killed by the district's rebellion.
Just seems like a dumb thing to do.
Mm-hmm. These words could not be more pointed, since I suspect several districts are rebelling right now.
Yeah.
President Snow goes on to tell us what happened in the previous quarter quells. On the 25th this is him talking. On the 25th anniversary, as a reminder to the rebels that the children were dying because of their choice to initiate violence, every district was made to hold an election and vote on the tributes who would represent it.
That sucks, man.
I wonder how that would have felt.
That sucks.
Jesus fucking Christ. Picking the kids who had to go. It is worse, I think, to be turned over by your own neighbors than have your name drawn from the reaping ball. Yeah, that's worse.
You know what else really sucks?
What?
I bet they were fucking intense games that year. I don't want to say I bet it worked, but I bet it worked. Because I bet they ended up with, like, only 18-year-olds.
Well, because, I mean, if you're an adult... I mean, obviously, some people be like, I'm voting for, like, my boss's kid.
Yeah.
Because that totally would happen, right? Like, you'd have petty bullshit factor in. But you'd also go, like, all right, whose kid won't we miss? Like, you know what I mean? You'd be like, who's the dickiest kid in the neighborhood?
I have to assume that, like, a couple of people were like, well, you know what? Well, if anybody's going to win, I guess it might be me.
I bet they kind of do that in the career districts.
Oh,
They're
I'm
like,
sure they
which
do.
kids
I'm sure there was no difference there.
Suck. Which kids are like kids that like burning ants for fun? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Which are those kids that already seem like they've got a killer instinct at 7? Let's train them up to be freaking brutal killers. Versus, you've got these, just people voting in. And then could you imagine coming back to your district after that? The winner? Like, what do you do? Hey, guys.
What's up?
What's up?
Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me.
Oh, my God. On the 50th anniversary, as a reminder that 2 rebels died for each capital citizen, every district was required to send twice as many tributes. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Wouldn't you at all just go like, wait, are we the bad people? Like, I just...
You'd think.
You think at some point you go, is this a bad thing
Wait a minute.
we're doing? I imagine facing a field of 47 instead of 23. Worse odds, less hope, and ultimately more dead kids. That was the year Haymitch won.
Oh, so he's like trauma.
Why do you think he drinks? I have a friend who went that year, says my mother quietly. Maisie Donner. Her parents owned the sweet shop. So, of course, they were like the sweetest people. They gave me her songbird after.
Oh.
A canary.
Oh. More birds.
And it's the first Prim and Katniss have ever heard of that.
Birds and breads.
So, you know, not only has Mrs. Everdeen lost the love of her life, but also her friend. So there's a lot of
Man, this place sucks.
trauma there. Well, I mean, you think about it, you're like, you probably lose a couple classmates while you grow up,
Oh, yeah, probably.
you know?
Especially in District 12, which is small.
And now we honor our third quarter quell.
I hate this guy. This guy
And
sucks.
he takes an envelope. Oh, so the little boy in white steps forward, holding out the box as he opens the lid. We can see the tidy, upright rows of yellowed envelopes. Whoever devised the quarter quell system, I hate this, had prepared for centuries of Hunger Games.
These people needed a hobby.
I fucking know. The president removes an envelope clearly marked with a 75. Coincidence. He runs his finger under the flap and pulls out a small square of paper.
Coincidence?
Oh, no, just what happens next.
Oh,
it's all
oh,
just
yeah.
a weird coincidence, isn't it? Without hesitation, he reads, on the 75th anniversary, as a reminder to the rebels that even the strongest among them cannot overcome the power of the capital, the male and female tributes will be reaped from their existing pool of victors. And everyone 18 and under was like, woof!
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? My mother gives a faint shriek and Prim buries her face in her hands, but I feel more like the people I see in the crowd on television, slightly baffled. What does it mean? Existing pool of victors? Then I get it, what it means. At least for me. District 12 only has 3 existing victors to choose from. 2 male, 1 female. I am going back into the arena.
See, this guy is dumber than rocks.
Okay, tell me
This
why.
guy is dumber than dirt.
We've
And
discussed
I'm
it,
not,
but-
this is the thing. I am not bitter that I was wrong. Now, I
No.
know that usually that is said by the people who are bitter that they are wrong. I think this is completely in character and makes total sense.
Oh, absolutely.
For President Snow.
He's like, let me get rid of this
Let
problem
me just... 'cause
quickly and
he's
efficiently.
dumber than dirt. And he apparently has decided that because Katniss is the figurehead, he's decided if he kills the figurehead, the revolution will end. That's not usually how these things go.
Well, then you make him into a martyr, and
Then you
no
martyr
one loves
them.
anyone more than a martyr.
And like, once you martyr somebody, well, you can't really besmirch them after the fact. They're dead.
No, then their posters are up in college dormitories
Yeah,
for the rest of time.
This was, and I feel like I'm giving sometimes like the fascist dictator's handbook. No, fuck this guy. This guy sucks.
but if
like,
you were a fascist dictator, this is how you would do it. No, I'm just
like,
kidding.
this is so stupid of him. He's so dumb. He's so short-sighted.
Because
he's thinking like, fuck it. I just gotta get rid of her and him, maybe, and we're done. But like, 1, martyrdom. 2, going back to Survivor for a minute, because Survivor is relevant here.
Mm-hmm.
Survivor games where they bring back previous players fall into one of 2 categories.
Exactly.
There are the seasons where all of the people who are well-liked and beloved make it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Those are fascinating. And then there are the seasons where the random chaff third boots all team up and get to the end. And everybody kind of hates those seasons because all of the people they love and care about and were excited to see are gone.
yes, when
and-
we do an all-star season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this is even worse
because when it's a newbie season,
of Survivor.
you're
yeah.
not invested
No.
in them very much. Like, you read their preseason coverage.
If you're
a
super
big
Survivor
fan,
nerdy like we have been,
yeah, if you're a big fan and you do like a pool and shit at
we
the
have
beginning,
fallen off. But
a little bit,
yeah.
but just because we've been busy
with this.
with this. But you if you are a fan like we are, You read like their preseason coverage and you do your fantasy draft and you do all that stuff. But like if they go out early, you're kind of like, oh no, my fantasy draft.
Oh,
but like
well.
that's pretty much the extent.
Yeah.
Whereas you kind of developed a parasocial relationship with the winners.
Yes.
Right? So you give a shit because you have your favorites.
Yes.
And you like start to kind of feel
And
like you care
know
about
things
them.
about them.
You care about them as people at that point.
And then you get sad when they are voted out of a game show.
First.
So imagine,
Or whatever.
You know, the victors are a special class of person.
And they're allowed to mingle with the capital public.
Yes, the capital citizens know them.
Yes.
The other victors know them. People from other districts know of them.
Right. And have had some kind of interaction with them.
They are usually lauded within their own district to an extent, I assume.
Yep. Usually, I mean, to a certain extent, right? Because they're usually the wealthy. They are the 1% of that district,
Yeah.
right? Because they are set for life. So there's that aspect of it where like the capital sees the children that go into the Hunger Games as like barbarian kids.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
you know,
it's
I mean-
easier for them. I mean, it's horrifying, but to them, all the propaganda says these are like barbarian
quite people.
kids. They're not people.
What's much-
so who cares that they die?
Much like Rome, and I feel like, I don't know how realistic this is historically, but in a lot of fiction, science fiction these days, the word for citizen in a culture will be the same as the word for person,
Right.
right? So for instance, in this case, if you are a citizen of Panem, you're a person. If you're not, really. So
And that's pretty much probably how they look at it. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't imagine how else you could get through watching a bunch of children die.
yeah, I know both.
Unless you're like, I mean, they're not people. So there's that. But they have had a chance to interact with and acknowledge the personhood of these victors. To them, these could be their friends.
Yes, probably
These could
some
be
of them
people
are.
they've maybe made out with at a party once.
Very
These are
possible.
people that they have some kind of care for.
And they're not going to watch them get voted off a game show. They're going to watch them fucking die.
Yeah, so there's that like
So nobody is going to
the
enjoy
feelings
this.
are going to be real. And not only that, but you've also pissed off the most powerful people in their districts.
Yep.
Because, you know, yeah, District 12 has only 3 victors, but I mean, District 1 has probably a fuckload.
Probably like 15 or 20.
And what is the inherent promise
Yes.
to
that's
the victors?
thing. It is the only thing that the districts get out of this shitty fucking deal is that,
One of their children has a chance of living a life of luxury.
Yeah.
Which is probably why in districts 1 and 2 and 4, it is common for people to volunteer. Because
Yes.
if their life fucking sucks, they want to elevate themselves beyond their fucking situation.
And if you win in those districts, as I bet it is kind of slanted towards them winning, you're a celebrity for like a year.
Yeah.
At least, because you get all the extra food, you bring in all the goods.
And then you are left alone for the rest of
And
your life,
that's the
except
thing.
for the fact that, you know,
Yeah,
there's the
you're
underwriting
used
of like, you're
forever.
used forever
But yeah, that's the
for
cornerstone
political power.
promise of this thing is
But
that,
you're safe.
yeah, as you mentioned that
As long
in
as you follow the rules, you're safe.
the movie, they talk a little bit more about the balance of hope and fear, and that if there is not enough hope, then there's nothing to lose, and if there's too much hope, then there's something to gain.
Yes. So you have to have just enough hope that they won't turn on you, but that they have something to live for.
Yeah, so I am assuming that President Snow did not read what was on the card.
No.
I am assuming that he made this up. I will never know, I know.
Definitely he did, though.
But
And
like,
come on.
this is the worst thing he could do at a volatile time, because he is removing what little hope there is.
Yeah. For everyone.
For everyone.
So now they're like, well, fuck it then. If there's no hope at all,
Then who
what the hell
cares?
do we have to lose?
Yeah. It's the Princess Leia to Grand Moff Tarkin quote.
Yeah.
The tighter, I'm gonna get this wrong. The tighter you close your grip, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
Yeah. So now it's like, okay, so at every point, any time, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Whenever they decide.
Yeah. And yes, in theory, that's a good fear tactic, but like the fear tactics aren't working.
No.
You've done too much fear
There's
tactics.
too much stick, not enough carrot.
Yes. So you fucked up. You missed. With all due respect, you probably should have reaped their families. I maintain that would have been a better idea for him to do.
No, I think, you know what? Thank God you're on the good side, because...
Well, here's the other thing.
I do think it would have been probably a smarter idea. Because if you really want to break someone, go for their families. Well, if you go for them, that'll just piss them off.
Going back to Gale's, one of the things that I'll talk later about Gale is he seems to be forgetting that he has like 4 siblings and a mom. And I'm like, okay, if you really want to stomp him down, put his sister in there.
I mean...
Right? And do it in such a way where, oh, hey, family of winners... I don't think
Posey's quite old enough, but he has 2 brothers that are, I think.
Family of winners, you can't volunteer. Fuck you.
We'll put in whoever we want.
Yeah. Oh, you said that you were her cousin, right? Great, then your little brother's going in. Oh, no, you can't.
Because they're family.
Fuck you. You're too old. You can't volunteer. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know. I think also, here's where I went wrong. When I was talking about Katniss going back into the arena would be a repeat beat and everything else, where I really whiffed was that I anticipated incorrectly that the main event of this book was going to be another games. Mm-hmm. And we're halfway through the book and the games haven't started.
No.
So that is clearly not the central event of the book. The central event of the book is the rebellion. Mm-hmm. So we can absolutely do the same thing.
The rebellion that is...
Catching fire. Yeah. We can absolutely do the same. We can do another Katniss in the arena because we don't need to do Katniss, 1 level up. If there were like a linking book, if there were another book between book 1 and book this, then maybe I could see them Sue's having done Katniss as a mentor. Mm-hmm. If the revolution were still slowly growing, slowly fomenting, slowly working its way out. But now we have 3 books, Gus. It's not the Wheel of Time. We don't have a million fucking years to parse our way through this rebellion. We have to go. We have to move. Unlike when Randall Thor says that there really is no time.
Yeah, there really is no time in these.
So
they're pretty short too.
Here's my thing. I don't think these games end with a victor.
Really?
I think these games are interrupted by outward rebellion and societal collapse.
Oh. Does anyone die, you think?
Yes, I think many people die. I think the games get underway because I think we need the capital to get unrested as well. Oh. Currently, they are undergoing some unrest because of supply chain interruption. We all know all about supply chain interruptions. But they need to see some of their friends die to go, wait, are we the baddies? Because apparently watching just children they don't know, I guess that's not enough for these fucking people. But I think there is clearly an undercurrent of rebellion in the capital. I don't think all the people who are wearing the Mockingjay are revolutionaries, but I do think that Game Maker is.
He was pretty secretive about it.
I do think that Game Maker might be an insurgent of some form. So like.
And maybe some of them are. I mean, some of the Capitol people don't seem to be on board with what's happening.
Yeah.
Look at Cinna.
Yeah.
You think there are more Cinnas?
I'm sure there are more Cinnas.
Sin of the Poet?
Sin of the Poet. Cinna's going to die. It's going to be really sad.
You think so?
I maintain Cinna's going to die. Book 3.
Book 3, Cinna dies.
Book 3 or end of book 2.
And when does Peeta die?
Late book 3.
Okay, so either end of book 2 or book 3, Cinna dies. Late book 3, Peeta dies.
Yes.
Okay. How's Gale?
Unfortunately fine.
I'm
kidding. No, he'll be fine. Prim dies eventually.
You think so? You think that Katniss volunteered to save her, and after all that, Prim dies anyway?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so.
What about Mrs. Everdeen?
It's bigger than Prim. I think Prim goes out on her own terms.
You think Prim goes out on her own terms?
Yeah. I think Prim goes out on her own terms, but I think Prim dies. Mrs. Everdeen's fine. I think it'd be really sad if Prim dies, but I don't see it being a repeat beat of Rue if she is like a revolutionary and dies doing something revolutionary. It'd be fucking sad as shit to watch a 13, 14-year-old girl die, but that Suze has done that before.
I mean, she's not been shy about the child
death.
There's been a lot of children dying.
She's been very upfront with that.
That's kind of like the initial premise.
That is.
What about Haymitch?
I think Haymitch lives.
Okay. And Effie?
God, I hope she fucking dies. Fucking hate Effie so much. I am slightly exaggerating how much I hate Effie, but she sucks.
What about Snow?
Oh, decapitated on live television.
Who does it?
It's not... Well, no, I think Katniss probably shoots him.
Katniss shoots him?
Yeah, because here's the thing. There are a couple different camps of young adult novel, right? There is, you've taken everything from me, so therefore, how am I better than you? Therefore, nothing, there is no reason for me to kill you. Mm-hmm. And then there is, you've taken everything from me, so there is nothing you can give me to keep you alive.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. See that.
And Harry Potter, translation matter, is spoilers, I guess, more in the first camp a little bit, where only the villains they cause their own destruction.
Yeah, you win by inherent goodness.
Yeah. There are other ones, a la Princess Bride, where it's like...
Bellatrix gets decidedly taken out by Molly Weasley.
She does. That's true.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah. Pretty much.
But then there's, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die.
And you think Katniss and Inigo Montoya share a common...
She's more of an Inigo Montoya than she is a Hermione Granger.
I see that.
I think that definitely that.
Okay.
And I think it's the other thing where I also, again, I don't think it's necessarily satisfying, and I don't think this whole story has a particularly happy ending. I think it has a positive ending, but I don't think it's like, hooray, we killed the president, Snow.
And now we're happy.
And now everything's fine.
There's dancing in the streets.
I don't anticipate that. I anticipate, much more of a, now what? Okay, well, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Because...
I see that.
Societal change is never easy, even when it's for the best.
I see that. Sorry, excuse me.
You're good.
I'm trying to think of other characters. What about Madge, sorry.
Madge?
Yeah, Madge.
Lives.
Little Miss 25%.
Little Miss 48%
lives
makes
to
it
seize
out.
another day.
Yeah.
That's what Gale, speaking of seizing the day, that's what Gale thinks a revolution is at this point. He's like, it's like Newsies. I want to give Newsies. Newsies realness. And then I saw a TikTok recently, not to depress people, but I saw a TikTok that was like, given the timeline, a lot of those boys and Newsies that were dancing around looking for better wages probably died in World War I.
Sad. I hate it.
I was like, fuck.
Who needed to know that? Nobody needed that.
Keep that to yourself.
Nobody needed that. Allie, this is my question.
Wait,
yes.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Oh, what about Game Maker guy, Plutarch?
Dead.
Dead?
Dead.
Dead for sure?
Dead.
Wow. Okay.
What
about the mayor of Whoville? No. District 12.
He's fine.
He's fine?
I don't know.
Fine?
No, I think he
He's
probably helps with rebellion stuff and is killed in the hopes that killing him will placate the population, and then Madge, stands up.
Her face smeared with her father's blood and is
that's
Liberté!
sad. But yes, that part, yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I think Madge is going to end up being kind of cool. She already is kind of cool.
Madge is pretty cool.
But how much do I get to read? Because I don't think we talked about this last time. Because I realized, because Audacity crashed.
You get to read chapters, let's see. Right, we left off in 12.
Yes.
13
Good.
through 15. To the end of 15.
What?
Yeah.
3? I mean, I guess we covered 3 this week, but 3?
Yeah.
I only get to read 3?
You only get to read 3.
What the fuck?
Well, yeah. I think,
what the?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to
I gave you 6 episodes, 6 chapters of the Wheel of Time this week. Those are longer. What?
Ooh. Maybe hold on. Let me think for a second.
No, this is what the public wants.
I'm trying to decide where we leave off. I think it has to be only 3.
Fine. I'll read my 3 chapters. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'll read my 3 chapters.
Hold on.
No, now you're at 9. Now you're jumping so far ahead.
No. Okay, I will let you. Okay.
No, it's fine. I'll read.
No,
3.
I've decided I'm going to pivot.
Oh.
I've decided I'm going to pivot. because, yeah, I think I will pivot. I think I will do.
This isn't going to be one of those things where you give me 5-6 chapters and then 4 people online go, no, we want Gus to suffer.
No, I will just give you to the end of 16.
Just let him sniff the book.
I'll give you 4. I'll be really nice. I'll give you to the end of 16.
3 fucking... All right, that's fine.
Because I'm just having to find like really good places to stop.
How many pages is... All right, that's like 60 pages. All right.
Yeah, it's a pretty good amount.
Okay, thank you. Very thoughtful. I appreciate that.
I'm very nice. I'm a very nice person.
Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been Wheel Takes Podcast. If you would like to hear more from us, we have a Twitter. We have tons of social media. All of that is listed below. We have a merch store with all kinds of stuff in it. If you want to spread the word about us, you can also subscribe to our Patreon if you want to support us that way, or you can leave a rating or a review. That always helps as well. And did I get everything, Gus?
Yes, you did.
And anything else for us, Gus?
Breads, birds, battles against the capital.
I love it.
No, you don't.
Thank you. No, I did. What is that?
It wasn't funny.
Be confident.
I won't. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.